Hello, this is yours truly, J Blue 68 with the magnificent The Watcher, Mike. Brother, I talk about all the time. One of the coolest brothers on the planet, very knowledgeable, has taught me a lot about making videos like this. So before we get into this video though, I want to say thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for watching this channel. Continue to do so. To like and subscribe, tap that bell so you can get more videos like this when I post them immediately. So this is going to be the big comic book haul that I mentioned this morning, that I mentioned earlier last week, but I'm not going to be the only one talking about the comic books. This gentleman will be talking about comic books as well. Ones that we're familiar with and ones that we're not familiar with. This is going to be a mixed haul because we're going to be dealing with Marvel Comics, DC Comics, independent comics, and pretty much every comic that we do and do not know about. So we're going to start off with DC Dollar Comics Swamp Thing #1. And Mike is going to talk about it, not me. Mike?
Well, first of all, J Blue, hold on, let's set this down. It's been a couple of months, my friend.
Yes, sir.
And I am so glad to have you back in the studio. Missed you guys. We're gonna have a good time today.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, this is a free comic book day today, correct?
Today is Free Comic Book Day, but this is actually one of the dollar comics from DC, so I picked this up last week, and that's Swamp Thing. Now, Mike told me about Swamp Thing, and a gentleman also mentioned to me this morning when I was at Comic City in Canton. But Mike's going to talk about the show briefly, and also some of the history of the character himself, and what he thinks about the show.
Well, first of all, once again, I don't know if I've made any of you folks familiar, but at one time I owned 1,500 comic books as a young man. I read just about everything that Marvel did and a lot of DC. And this was, at one time I owned this. But this is one of the DC characters that I really, really enjoyed. There was so much humanity in Swamp Thing. The TV series itself was, I thought, had such great potential. Unfortunately, it got a little sketchy as it got into the final 3 episodes. And I think one of the reasons why that was is because they announced that they were going to scrap the show before the show even got aired.
Were there some kind of creative differences with the directors or something like that?
No, it was. Remember, they were cleaning house
Right.
of all the TV shows.
Right.
And Swamp Thing was coming on the scene, and it just happened to come along when they started cleaning house, and so what they did was they rushed the story. It almost looked like they had it fleshed out, but then, we're not going to do another season, you're canceled. They cut it and condensed it up. And as a result of that, the ending could have been more satisfying. It wasn't. But the essence of the show, the characters and how they related, the cinematography, the special effect, this was Juan.
Well, yeah, the guy who directed Aquaman. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you get an opportunity, check out, I believe that was 9 episodes. There's probably a chance that Disney Plus is going to air these eventually. Okay. Okay, so, no, I'm sorry, not Disney Plus, but
DC.
DC.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to air it eventually.
2Ds, so it's hard to get them sometimes
Exactly.
confused.
But if you get an opportunity,
check it out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on here.
Mhm.
Now, these comics here,
I don't have any knowledge of some of these, Jason.
No. I don't have knowledge of some of these either, but these are some of the comic books that I picked up this morning for Free Comic Book Day. This is Dark Red. This is published by Aftershock. I have no knowledge of what this is, but it looks something like a post-apocalypse type comic book.
Yeah.
Looks like there's blood on the floor or something up that he's mopping up, and he's dressed in red. So I don't know.
Now, are these done just for Free Comic Book Days, or are these
Some
book labels that are out right now?
Some of these are actually existing comic
never-
books, but what happens is that the comic books companies or industries will publish a comic book for Free Comic Book Day. So some of these are stories we know about. Again, others we don't necessarily. For instance, this is for Comic Fest. This is Battle Cats. I know nothing about this book right here, but I will eventually read it. So, some of you who may know about these comic books, please feel free to post comments below and let me know if you're interested in any of these books, if you haven't read any of these books, and lay some knowledge on me. Next up, we have Lady Mechanica.
And what label is that?
This is with, does it say right here?
Because I was looking at a few of these. A lot of these. Who is Joe?
Joe Benitez.
Oh, Joe Benitez. Wait a minute. Wasn't he with either Marvel or DC? Why do I know that name, Joe Benitez?
I'm not sure, but it says La Dama de la Muerte. So, that's Spanish.
I think he was either with Marvel or DC. I may want to jump on the net and find out. But
next up, we have
now I can put some words in here.
Riverdale. We already know it.
Well, I grew up collecting Archie too. I read Archie, and it's always the battle between who would you date, Betty or Veronica? I was a Veronica guy. I don't know, just something about.
And of course, we know the show is on the CW, so it's got a lot of praise.
I hear that is an actual drama.
Yeah, on the CW.
It's so odd. I never watched it. I don't know if I'm going to, but yeah. Does that.
Next up, we have Lady Mechanica. I think this is same as this other book I just put down, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that's the second one.
Yeah, second one. So another story. Lady Mechanica. She must be pretty popular. Another Joe Benitez book. This is under his name. So interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have from Free Comic Book Day,
Now,
Captain America.
Is this a part of the Thanos thing? Because I'm noticing the
No.
three standing up there, although it's not fat.
No, absolutely nothing to do with it. This is
Okay.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, who of course we know is the writer of, or we may not know, the writer of the Black Panther, and he's also one of the recent writers of the new Captain America stories, and artwork by one of my absolute favorite artists, Lionel Francis Yu. So I know this is going to be a good book. Can't wait to see it. This is just a premiere for Free Comic Book Day. But Mike is correct. This is one of the heroic stances from the recent movie Avengers Endgame.
Now, they gave you all of these.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Absolutely.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. So it's good to have connections. The few that I have. Now I need some sponsors.
Very good, Jacob.
Thank you. Next up, we have Interceptor. This is a comic book written by the very infamous, very popular Mr. Donny Cates. As you know, Donny Cates is everywhere, man. And I can't wait to read this book by him. Donny Cates is the writer of Guardians of the Galaxy, and of course Absolute Carnage, in which he is working with Ryan Stegman, who I've met, and I actually have a video of Ryan Stegman here on my channel. You can check that out. That was the film back in August, I believe, of this year. But yeah, Donny Cates, fabulous writer, great writer. He does a lot of creepy stuff, kind of off the wall stuff. He's also a writer of Silver Surfer Black, and so I think all the stories that he's writing for Marvel they're leading up to something, and I have a feeling what that is. It has probably something to do with the the symbiote god for Carnage. And I think all that is leading up to all his stories that he's writing for Marvel are leading up to that. But this is independent of Marvel. This is from Vault Comics. So yeah, like I said, the dude is all over the place, man. He's hot stuff right now in terms of comics. Next up, we have The Drifting Classroom by Viz Comics. I have no idea what this is about. Mike, have you heard any?
Oh no. This, I'm sure, came along well after I was collecting.
Yeah, this is probably more of your contemporary comic book companies. So.
But now, The Drifting Classroom, yeah, kind of surrealistic.
Yeah. So next up, after that, we have The Marauders, and I had a chance to read this. This is spinning out of the books written by Jonathan Hickman. His take on the X-Men, and I have to say I'm very impressed by this. I like the direction that this is going in. I did not, however, Matteo Lally is with the artist. I did not like the artwork from in this book. I think the artwork is a step back compared to the artwork that was done for what we call Hox Pox, which is House of X, Powers of 10, where Pepe Larraz was I believe, was the artist for that book. But this book, the artwork is not that great to me, but the story is fantastic, and it's seeing where the X-Men are going from this point going forward. Very excited about that, and the title itself is made sense by the story. Definitely a read I recommend, highly recommend it. If you're an X-Men fan or if you've never read an X-Men book before, definitely jump on board here. And Mike,
can I?
please, I was going to ask
one?
you to do
All
it.
right, all right. This is my X-Men right here, or at least let me put it this way. This is when I started collecting. This is when the Beast used to run around with bare feet. I would love to see Marvel do that now, but that's not. It's not going to happen.
Well, we don't know. I mean, with Jonathan Hickman
Oh,
on board,
that would be awesome.
and they have 6 different books that are coming out.
Listen, if they can do the Toad, they can do the Beast with bare feet. But I love the early X-Men. I'm burned out on them now. I could care less about another movie at least for another 10 years. But I love the X-Men.
Well, I mean, we're just minus the movies out. Let's just talk about the comic books again. Jonathan Hickman has done something phenomenal with the comic books that has not, I think, been done since the early writings by Chris Claremont. He has done a fabulous job in recreating and reinventing the world of the X-Men. Seriously, I'm just completely impressed. Mike, next one.
Another X-Men.
I know nothing about that villain or the Quanon.
And let me. I'm not familiar.
And by the way, the book that Mike just picked up and this one, these are from True Believers, and these are the dollar comics offered by Marvel Comics. So if you can't afford a weekly comic book budget, you can always go and get the dollar comics. And DC is doing them too, so that's cool, very cool.
And I collected X-Men for a long time. I collected X-Men from that point that we just showed you all the way up through here, and or at least I guess they became the new X-Men. Yeah. And Colossus has always been a favorite of mine. I love Colossus.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cyclops is my first favorite. Colossus second.
Okay, so now we're going to move in the second part of this haul, and I'm going to introduce this book. This is Luna Snow. She's one of the newest superheroes, and I love this. This cover is beautiful.
I was going to say the same.
It's beautiful.
Awesome
this cover is beautiful. I want to put that closer to the camera there.
That is just...
Luna Snow, and she's one of the newest superheroes from the Ages of Atlas, along with Arrow, and I think what the other one's called White Fox. And I had a comic book with White Fox, I think about last week or the week before that. But that is an awesome cover.
Awesome do you know, without having to take it out, do you know who the artist is?
The artist, let's see, is someone with the last name Lim or Garza. There are like 4 different names on here. Wong, Lim, Garza,
you're right.
Hampshire, and then Sanchez Elmadra. Okay. So mainly it's Latino or Hispanic names. So but very nice cover there. Can't wait to read that. When we do Mike and I do our hauls for the year, we're going to do not only just comic book hauls based on stories, but also based upon the covers themselves. And I want Mike to do this one. Because he has been all on Captain Marvel. But before he does this, I want to say, if this video runs out, we'll do a part 2 of it. And if you hear any noise as well, please excuse the noise. There's some people moving in or whatever. I'm inside of Mike's studio, just filming this video. Very cool studio. But back to the comic books. Captain Marvel's taking a turn for the worst. She's turning to the dark side, whatever that means. So I haven't read these stories yet, but I'm hearing they're getting a lot of fan support, more so than the movies. The comic books are doing.
Listen. Once again, I didn't have a whole lot. I had a few Ms. Marvels, and I collected Captain Marvel from the time it was, guy, man with the green suit on. So I went all the way up into Ms. Marvel series, but we won't have to talk about the movie.
But the comic book is doing very well, and again, I hear she's taking a turn for the dark, or for the worse, I should say. So I think that's a way.
When you say the worse or the dark,
a dark version of Captain Marvel. She's about to go to the bad side. So that's something else I think that's cool. Spawning out of the Marvel story lore. Next up, we have Mary Jane. She's entering into her own comic book series. This is written by Leah Williams. Our artist here is Carlos Gomez and Carlos Lopez. I love the cover art. but I'm not sure about the story. I haven't read it yet. I'm hearing that it's okay. You know, I can't say that I'm going to actually collect this series entirely or the entire series. I mean, it might be a mini series. I'm not for sure, but we'll see what's up in the world of Mary Jane. Then next up we have Strike Force. This is book number 2, which features Blade. Put that up to the screen there. Blade. We have Monica Rambeau and Angela, the sister of Thor, Spider-Woman, and they're going up against some demonic forces or something like that. It says here the start of a new cult hit, as reported by Newsrama. This is written by Tini Howard and artwork by Germain Peralta and Mizrav Merva, whoever that is.
Boy, I'm really anticipating that Blade movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next up, we have Immortal Hulk number 5. And I have Immortal Hulk number 6, but the comic book shop didn't have it in stock. Put that a little closer to the camera. This comic book series is off the chain, off the hook. It's written by Al Ewing. And as I said before, I got a chance to see Al Ewing at the New York Comic Con. Great story, great horror story actually too. And a good take on the Hulk himself. But these are the director's cuts of this particular series. I'm glad to be collecting them. Very good. And the artwork is fantastic as well. Then we have Immortal Hulk number 25. As we into the middle of this series, 25 issues into the Immortal Hulk. And these books are literally flying off shelves. So I'm glad to have them in my collection. Once I get caught up into reading them, I'll do my review of the story. Who knows, this might be one of my comic book picks of the year.
I feel like one of the models on The Price is Right. And here's the Agents of Atlas.
And here's Agents of Atlas. This is the story I just mentioned a moment ago where, what was the character's name I showed? Luna Snow?
Yes.
Where she emerged from this series. This is
okay.
It's a mini-series. Yeah. Okay. Agents of Atlas, which of course features Jimmy Woo. And very good story. Spun out of the War of the Realms. This series is doing fairly well, and it's very well written by Greg Pak, or Greg Pak, however his last name is pronounced. Pak.
Oh, P-A-A-K?
Yes.
Yes.
Greg Pak.
I've heard of the name.
Definitely.
Yes.
And then we have Mike. If you do your.
Well, I mean, you might want to talk about. I'm not very much a Miles Morales fan.
Yeah, this is from Freedom Comic Book Day. I picked this up today. Miles Morales. He has his ongoing series written by Saladin Ahmed, which is very good. But this particular book I think was just written for Free Comic Book Day, and that being today, October the 26th.
And I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I just I never spent time and read. I invested time, so I'm not very familiar with brother.
Got you completely.
Yep.
And next up we have Tony Stark, Iron Man 2020. Now this is supposed to be a headline story, or a big story that's for some major event involving Tony Stark for next year. The Tony Stark 2020, I have no idea, because I have not been reading any Iron Man comic books because I haven't really had any interest in them or time to read them. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not bad. I'm not saying that they're good. I don't know, because I've been reading so many comic books, but can't wait to see what this story will be leading into next year. And then last but not least, we have Ghost Rider.
Now, here's another one I collected.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I loved Ghost Rider growing up. I had pretty much almost every issue. Movie, I mean, as much as I love Nicolas Cage, the movie was not bad. But, it was pretty decent.
It was okay, but the second one was absolutely horrible.
Oh, it was an atrocity.
However, the gentleman that's playing the Robbie Reyes version from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, did a very good job. I don't know if Mike, you watch it or watch it.
No, I don't. I heard he did a respectable job.
Really good job.
Better than
absolutely.
What's his name? Nicolas Cage.
And Hulu was supposed to be picking up this series for the network, but I'm hearing that I'm not sure if it's going to go through. I think Kevin Feige is in his promotions is realigning a lot of things, and Jeff Loeb I don't think is in charge of Marvel TV anymore.
All right, now while we still got time, folks, I told Jay Blue I had a surprise for him. Watch this. Yesterday, I was running errands, and I'm on my way home, and I'm driving past the Salvation Army.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why. Something said, make a U-turn. I made a U-turn, and I went into the Salvation Army, and I'm looking around, and I see this dual cassette deck. I'm like, can't find dual cassettes anymore, and I still got a whole library of cassette decks. I mean, whole library of cassette tapes. Maybe I'll go and purchase that. And then I looked to my left, and I saw something. I went, oh, this is, oh my goodness.
Oh, let's see what lies in the surprise, or what Mike has got. The Watcher's got. What has he found? What has he found?
So
let's see.
it was in another box, but it was a bunch of them, and they had $1.99 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to the counter and I said, hey, listen, a lot of these are $1.99 you're asking for. A lot of these are only like $1 or $2 or $3. How about letting me get the whole lot for, I don't know, $15? She said, okay. Now, I don't know if anything here is worth anything, but
oh my God!
now,
Wow!
Oh no! This is not even half. Maybe some of you folks out here are familiar with any of these labels. This is Wildstorm, and this is a comic book called Wildcats. Now, I'm under the impression, J Blue, that whoever dropped these off were from Canada.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you why.
Let me step out of the camera just for a minute.
Okay. I'll tell you why. Okay. All right.
No, keep going.
Okay. Because some of these labels are out of Canada.
Wow.
Grindel. This is Dark Horse. So now, J. Blue, you've talked about Dark Horse before.
Many times.
Yeah. And some of these are in their protective cases, and I don't want to mess with them. I'm like, Vertigo. Now, I want to ask you something. Vertigo went out of business a few years ago.
Right.
Are their comic books worth anything now?
No idea.
Well, there's a lot of Vertigo in here. There's actually Love and Rockets. I mean, just, and I won't go long with this. Now, look at this. Black Cross, Dark Horse.
Wow. Well, we're actually going to do a second haul.
Yes.
This was a surprise that Mike.
Yes, I want
so very, very nice here. But I just want to say thank you to my subscribers. Mike threw us a surprise in.
Well, we do a part 2.
So we'll do a part 2 to these particular comic books right here. But I want to say thank you to my subscribers. Please continue to subscribe to the channel, comment on this video and all videos that I post. Tap that bell so you can get, again, more videos as I post them immediately. Hope everyone has had a chance to go to comic book shops today and pick up some comic books, and have a wonderful day, weekend, night, evening, or wherever time and place it is in the world for you. Peace, love, and hair grease, Mike.
Later.